welcome everybody. We're here to talk about the future of gaming and Web3 with Brendan from Protocol Gemini, with Chris from Loopring, and myself from Loopring. I don't know, we're going to do a couple updates on the Loopring side. We're going to talk about everything that Protocol Gemini has going on in partnership with Loopring here. And then we're going to invite some people up and maybe answer some questions at the end. So let's kick things off. Brendan, do you want to maybe start with some updates on Protocol side?
Yeah, totally. We've got a lot of stuff kind of coming out, but I think the biggest thing obviously is, our metagates. They're built on Loopring. They've got layer 1 and layer 2 Loopring support right now, but I think it's a huge step in the right direction, not only for, kind of blockchains and gaming, but really Loopring community as a whole, because we're offering something that is way, light years ahead of JPEGs and GLBs and stuff. And I think there's going to be that kind of aha moment. I'm not sure if it's this Serenity update or if it's going to be the next update, but at a certain point, I think, kind of like when we did Cybercrew launch on GameStop, when the marketplace launched, we had great success with that. But really it was maybe 2 weeks after launch when people started to actually read the descriptions and read some of the guides we made. And then they're like, oh, wait, you get access to the files and you can do this or that. And I think, once we have that kind of aha moment, all this building that, Protocol Gemini is done and Loopring, has been doing, bear cycles only last so long. You know what I mean? And if you've built the infrastructure and then people have those aha moments, you get this kind of snowball effect.
Yeah, I completely agree. People, even myself for a long time, didn't fully comprehend everything that these metagates can be. Maybe it's too soon, but I know, Brendan, you want to update us a bit about what's happening, the future of metagates. But just having a
I'll go into detail. You don't have to start me with a good time. I'm passionate about what we're building and what we're bringing to the community. The whole point, not the whole point, but a big kind of point of emphasis for us is empowering people with technology. That's kind of one of our staples at Protocol Gemini is, okay, you've got this great technology, but is it accessible? So democratizing technology and putting it in the hands of people. So an example of that is 3D files. Not everyone knows how to use Blender or, Unreal Engine, or knows how to write verse, or, what I mean? There's this kind of disconnect, and there's this great barrier to entry. So with metagates, we're giving, creators and, just even casual people a chance to not have to spend 20 hours learning Blender just to make a table, right? We're giving them a no code way of engaging with others and showing off what they can do, that's really user friendly. And not just that, but you can display, you can go to the marketplace, you can buy a metagate, and then you can easily display your NFTs, even the ones that you made, all within a minute or two. You know what I mean? That alone is quite a bit. But I think once we have multiplayer, and I know I showed you guys a little bit of the portals. I'm very excited about that. But you're gonna have we've actually got connectivity between metagates working right now. And I think a lot of people might not understand what I'm saying by that or the implications, but I think it's one of those things that once people try it,
exciting.
Yeah.
It's super exciting. Like having a behind the scenes look at some of the things that you guys are building, I'm just blown away. Like, yeah, I mean, everybody has seen like Meta, Facebook rebranded their company because they're going all in on the metaverse. Like, if you've ever seen the movie Ready Player One, like the world is moving in that direction. The people are going to live online. People are going to live in virtual spaces. Metagates are just going to be such an amazing portal because you can not only like build and connect but own your own assets inside your metagates, have your own private space, and then portal between. Like I know you're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming loop ring metagate, so I don't want to spoil that too much, but
you just did.
I mean, I'll let you go into more detail, but like, but having this connectivity between metagates and having your own personal space where you can own your own assets and then go to a place like a loop ring metagate that's more like a town center, and then you can portal back to your own personal private metagate. Like stuff like this is just super exciting to me, and people are going to live online and live in these spaces, and it's like going outside of your apartment, like your modern loft, going to a town hall, meeting with people, having a good time, and then going back to your private metagate space. Like if the future is people living online and living in the metaverse, then you guys are ahead of the game, and it's super exciting.
Yeah, I think that you've hit kind of the nail on the head, but I think also like, everyone had this kind of collective shared experience with COVID, where like everyone's staying from, at home and work from home is now a thing that, working remotely was like just for freelance contractors. And it was like, whoa, you have that job. Whereas, it's a lot more mainstream now. And I think one of the things that, again, not to talk about any, what would be perceived competition publicly or anything like that, but there are like major companies that are, trying to build metaverse and online connectivity things. And like, I think that their approach isn't the best one because it's like, what it implies is just like, oh, instead of having a meeting in real life that I don't want to be at, I'm doing it, it's like the LinkedIn of the metaverses. And it's like, I'm barely on LinkedIn. I don't like LinkedIn. It's one of those things. It's like a chore, you know what I mean? And when people realize the stuff that they can do, that empowers what they're already doing, I think that's the better approach to kind of digital spaces right now. So I'm excited about what we'll be able to do with that, and everyone's going to be able to kind of interact with Loopring in a way that they've never been able to with the Loopring HQ metagate.
Yeah, that's super exciting. I can't wait to see more and show the public more about that. Chris, feel free to jump in at any point if you have anything to say there also.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both you guys. I don't want to ruin anything that Shrike's going to get into, but some of the ideas behind what you can do in metagates, not saying it's available today, but what could be on the roadmap. If you think about some basic, functions or marketplaces that you guys are visiting today, it's really just a GUI and APIs at the back end, right? And metagates are a GUI and APIs, and I'm sure a bunch of other stuff that Shrike could teach me on. But I mean, there's a lot of functionality that you could bake into a metagate, and then if you think about it, do something in one of them and portal back to your own, and then apply it to your own. I think is a very cool concept. And then it's in your wallet. You can take it anywhere you want. So again, I think people might just see metagates as if you don't understand it, you might just see a metagate as a place that you go into. You could throw some stuff up on the walls, and that's it. You walk out, or you close your browser, and you're done. But there's a lot more stuff you could bake into that whole experience that Shrike and his team is looking into, which I think will unlock a lot of other future concepts later down the road, which will be cool to see.
Yeah, I think that's something that we're all kind of guilty of is like sometimes we kind of nerd out about like the technical stuff without explaining like what the implications are, You know what I mean? Like if it's like when, my wife's, coworkers ask what I do for a living, and she's like, he does video game stuff, because it's a lot easier conversation than trying to go into, the technical description of it. But, I think that you hit the nail on the head, is that, think about it as this modular, customizable thing. And this is your, we call it the hub to the metaverse, where you've got this kind of home base, and this is your launching pad to all these other things. So, when you look at the implications of that, and then you tie in this kind of universal standardization of that, you can streamline this whole, ecosystem. And, the part of the big vision of Metagates is connectivity of the community, but also connectivity within games and metaverses. So if you've got that standardization in place, and you've got these API calls, which is just kind of a funny way of saying, if this, then that, you've got a whole kind of complex metaverse built by different people that all communicates really, really well.
Exactly. And to be honest, like, we probably don't even know all of the implications and all of the ripple effects of where this is all going to lead one day. Like, just having this connectivity between metaverses, metagates, who knows? Like, maybe some companies want to buy their own metagates and make them publicly available, so that people can portal to those metagates and purchase items in the virtual store, and physically be able to see those items, and then they're shipped to their house one day, in the meat space. So, like, there's all sorts of, like, very cool things that could happen down the road. Right now we're just kind of in the infrastructure building phase. But yeah, during the next bull cycle, I'm sure we're going to have a lot more user adoption, and I'm fairly confident that metaverse and living online and all of this is going to be a big topic. So just building out the infrastructure and being ahead of the game is going to be super important for the next adoption cycle.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing, and kind of segues back to what Loopring's building and focusing on, and I think that's why we've got such a strong kind of technology kind of partnership working together here, because we kind of focus on providing tools and standards and processes and infrastructure, because all those things really, it's like, we can take it to the, whatever five moves ahead, right? And be like, okay, we think it'll be used for this. But at the end of the day, if you're empowering your community and users, they're the ones that will actually be able to kind of flesh it out as much as possible. So, like, an example would be, when YouTube first came out, I don't know if anyone's necessarily a fan of YouTube, but, like, when YouTube came out, it's like, what do we do with this? You know what I mean? And then it's kind of evolved into this thing, and you've got these different niches, and there's, like, billions of views on certain videos, and it's like, I would have never guessed that. You know what I mean? Like, I thought it was just a platform for sharing cat videos. You know what I mean? So, like, building tools that people can use and engaging with the community, I think Loopring's doing an outstanding job of that. Like, I haven't seen many, companies engage and build like that. And I think it's a good process.
Yeah, I mean, my one quick comment on that is, it's interesting being in the seats that we're in, and working with developers and working with creators, and they might have these really cool ideas, but they need a few additional endpoints or something on our end to help them take it to that next stage. And way more often than not, I'd say our engineers, our developers, they're, like, excited, and they're happy to build this stuff out to see what this community can build. And recent examples of those are Fudgy and Codman working on this mass exodus transport of one wallet to another wallet, or another team building another marketplace or another dApp that you can use to really get an idea of what your balances are, and this, that, and the other. So it's exciting to see how interactive and engaged the community is on building different pieces out, and our reception to that and our ability to work with them on enhancing our offering, right, and our API endpoints or whatever it might be to help get them where they want to go. So it's very cool to watch that all play out.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And just to kind of go further on that, one of the questions that we got in Discord, I believe, was like, what are the advantages of building on Loopring? And that you kind of just pointed it out there, Chris, is like being our app specific nature, we have a very big advantage in that we can fully optimize, customize the experience, not only for the user, but for the developer. We work hand in hand with them and give them like a very close experience and build out features, like specific features, specific infrastructure that they need in order to make their app as performant as possible and the best user experience. So this is why you don't see us working with as many partners, but the ones that we do work with, we work very closely with them, and we can hyperscale their apps. So I think that's one of the big advantages that we have over other generalizable layered or rollups, is that they're not going to get that same hands-on experience. I mean, maybe you can tell us, Brendan, like what has your experience been like working with the Loopring team? Maybe you can kind of just highlight a couple of points there.
Yeah, I think the communication's really good. You know, it's like I think we've been, you know, I don't want to say like a flow state, but I think that there's like, you look at, you know, any good sports team, and then you know, you look at a team that is really special, like, you know, the Chicago Bulls or something like that. I'm not comparing us to that, but really just like having a good communication and like, here, I give you the ball and you know exactly what to do. I think kind of refined processes combined with, you know, a shared value system where, you know, I know where we need to go, and I think you guys agree with where you need to go. So it's like there's this kind of, I don't want to say effortless, because that implies we don't do work, but like it just kind of flows in that, you know, we know what our next steps are and where we're going. So we're never like, you know, standing around with our, you know, hands in our pockets, you know, like what do we do? You know what I mean? I think that's a good way to kind of describe how we've been working together.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, just to kind of touch on that also. So like another question that we got in the Discord there is like, have you guys been approached by other big like companies, big gaming studios? The answer is yes. Like we have been doing like proof of concepts in the background with some other companies. And one thing I really do appreciate about working with like young agile startups like Protocol Gemini is how fast that they can move. Like you guys have this vision for the future, and you guys are able to like build without much bureaucracy, without much red tape, which is amazing. But I am interested to hear your kind of thoughts on this, because we have been like in talks and doing some proof of concepts in the background with some other big companies, and their kind of basically idea of how Web3 is going to work out in the future is more of a transition from like Web 2 to Web 3, where maybe at the start it's not so decentralized. Maybe at the start it's not so, I guess what I'm trying to say is like it's going to be a bit of a slower transition, and we need to really handhold the end user, because not every user wants to like set up, activate a layer 2 wallet or layer 3 wallet, or even has like the technical ability to do so. So like this is why we're building like all this customizable infrastructure in the background to be able to onboard users. And it's gonna, I kind of agree that it's going to be a bit of a slow transition, and there's going to be some centralized aspects at first maybe, but over time this is going to transition into like a Ready Player One situation where it's decentralized. Everybody owns their own assets. Everything's interoperable. But I think it's going to be a bit of a process to get to that point. What are your thoughts on that? I'm interested to hear your thoughts on that, Brendan.
Yeah, I think, there's we're in the early stages. I know people don't like to hear that because it implies, naturally that you have to wait. But I think it's important to kind of know that, when people say early, I think saying you're early to something is, tends to be overused. So it's lost its meaning. But think about adoption and, when it becomes widespread versus when it's so niche. And I don't want to necessarily use a crypto reference, but, I think everyone can kind of visualize the Bitcoin days, where one of the first transactions I had with Bitcoin, you had to manually write down your whole wallet, and make sure you got the address right, because whoever you're sending it to, if you've got a letter wrong or an extra space, it's just going off into the void. You know what I mean? It's not very user friendly. And when you want to onboard the masses, you've got to have this comfortable, easy to use experience, because people aren't patient for the most part, myself included, and if there's too many steps, the likelihood of people doing it is going to drop drastically. Whereas Amazon makes it their living to make it so easy for you to buy that it's I'm going to get it on Amazon and I get it that same day. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's a very important point. Is everything that we're building right now is for mass adoption in the future, and we're slowly working our way towards abstracting away pretty much everything for the end user. At the end of the day, we want a user to be able to interact with Web3 without even realizing that they're using crypto, blockchain, Web3. That's the end goal. But in the meantime, there's this kind of transitory, I guess, period. But yeah. Any thoughts on that also, Chris?
Honestly, I just agree with you guys. I think the number one thing, and something that we'll get into when we talk about updates from the Loopring side, right, is just ease of use for Web 2 to Web 3 users. And that means almost behind the scenes creating wallets from email addresses or iCloud or Google Drive or whatever that is, whatever your medium of choice is to identify yourself that you're used to doing on Web 2, just use that as your Web 3 profile when you're setting up your wallet. And then almost everything is happening behind the scenes, right? If we're thinking about games, you think about Looper Lands or some of the other stuff, they could just start sending you these NFTs. And all right, is that you get these cool things in the game that you're playing with, but then all of a sudden, something clicks and you go, oh, wait, I have this wallet and they're all in here, and maybe I can transfer them over here. Maybe this other game has staking or whatever it might be, right? It's all these things that you're collecting and all that behind the scenes. You're leveling up, you're doing whatever, and it feels very natural because that's what you're used to. But in the back end, it's all decentralized, it's all blockchain, and it's all kind of Loopring powering the foundation of it, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, awesome, great points. So yeah, let's hop into that. Let's talk about some of the things that Loopring is working on in the background right now. Because we get a lot of feedback from our partners like Protocol Gemini and games like Looper Lands. Shout out Looper Lands, love Looper Lands, and Ordinary Atom making the big expansion there. We talk to these developers all the time, and we're always working on new features, new infrastructure that we can build to kind of streamline all of this. One of the big things that we're working on right now, which we can now talk about publicly, is a new smart wallet for the web, and making this as seamless as possible for Web 2 users to just transition over and create these new smart contract wallets without even realizing that they're creating these smart contract wallets, because this will allow them to interact with these games like Metagates, like Protocol Gemini, like Looperlands, different things like that in a much more seamless way. For example, now with our new advanced cloud recovery system that we have, our Cloud Recovery 2.0, we're able to use that same system. And with this smart wallet that we're building, the web version, a user will be able to just sign in with their Google ID, Apple ID, and it'll instantly create a web wallet, which is a smart contract wallet for them using their Google ID, and just abstract all of that away, basically hide their private key for them in their cloud automatically by signing in with their Apple ID or Google ID, and instantly they'll have a wallet that they can use in Web3. So I think steps like that are going to be super, super important for onboarding users. We need to abstract away as much as we can for the end user to make the experience much like Web 2. Yeah, Chris, do you want to talk about some of the other stuff like the targeted red packet, stuff like that?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think one of the cool things about this is some of these are pretty well under development. Some are still in like the concept and fleshing out phase, if you will. So we're definitely interested in hearing community feedback. If you guys have really strong opinions on certain things, we can use that as part of the Q&A at the end, or obviously you could hit us up in Discord and ask. So we're pretty open about it. But yeah, I'd say in general, kind of taking a step back and spaces and these talks that we're doing, I'd say B and I are super excited to get these going more. I kind of see them as like three main pillars of topics, right? And B, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong or add in ones that I missed. But, I'd say that in general, the conversations are really going to be focused on either the smart wallet, DeFi, or gaming. And we'll kind of try to stick to those, but obviously some blend into the others, right? And on the topic of gaming, the updates that we have, there's probably 7 of them. I think B covered one already with the web browser-based smart wallet, which I think is going to be really exciting because a lot of the games happening right now are on PC, right? Like PlayStation, Xbox, they don't do crypto, they don't do NFTs. So where players are PC, and that's where we want to meet them. So that means having a web browser-based smart wallet is a lot easier than having to take out your phone, scan QR codes, Wallet Connect, whatever that is. Being able to just do it all from the same medium that you're already playing on, I think is super streamlined. Other things that we're talking about, right? So if you guys have updated your apps, multi-format support for NFTs, I think is really cool. So, obviously at Loopring, we love our NFTs and the amazing things that you guys are creating with them. I mean, I never would have expected starting out seeing like these cool GLBs that you could flick around in your wallet. I mean, maybe that's nerdy of me, I don't know, but I think it's pretty cool. The whole goal is being able to really just show them off exactly how you, the creators, have kind of intended them to be seen and utilized. With the recent updates, I'd say we're in a pretty good place with those, but we have a few more ideas in mind on how to, display them and the way they behave. The other piece that we're looking at, and I think some of you guys have asked about, are the HTML-based NFTs. So those are really cool. Obviously, GameStop Wallet has those in their browser one. We're looking to implement them. There's no firm ETA on them, but basically security is kind of always first and foremost of our mind when we're talking about implementing new features and enhancements. And, running that background code in the wallet, we just want to make sure that everything is safe and we're not putting any of your assets at harm. So still fleshing a few things out, but we definitely want to get there. Next item up is like the red packets and blind boxes. So you guys are probably already familiar with them, but if you're not, red packets are like this really cool way to send either NFTs or ERC20 to different users. And you could do that through like a public red packet and anybody can grab them, or you could have a QR code, right? And you can send it to somebody that can scan it and open it up. Blind boxes takes that like a little bit of a step further and it kind of randomizes things, right? So you might mint or send out 500 different blind boxes, but only 2 of them win or something like that. So we're really excited to see how people are using them in game. Obviously, Looperlands had a few of those within their game through the recent promotion, and we're starting to see some other games incorporate them as well. I know Spike in his games, he's starting to utilize them, which is really cool to see. And more on that in a bit in a future update here. The other thing that we're looking to do is support multiple types within the same red packet, right? So, if we're talking about Cyber Crew, you might have a clone card and that's got a 1 in 100 chance of dropping, but you might see cupcakes and those have like, every 10 you might get one or something like that. So being able to shove different types of NFTs in the same red packet, I think, is really cool, with just different probabilities for each type. The next piece, targeted blind boxes. So these are really cool and something that we thought about immediately as we thought about the NFTs and the blind boxes in general, is just being able to send them to a specific wallet address rather than having to generate a QR code. I think ever since joining the Loopring community, one thing was always, people just start spinning up different wallets, start scanning those QR codes, and before you know it, they're all gone. So this would be a way for us to allow users to basically specify a list of wallet addresses that they want to direct these red packets to, and then those recipients will receive them. They'll get some sort of notification, and then they could claim them if they want. We're thinking about the best flow for this, right, and trying to do it in a smart way. So, like, for example, we call them official or partner ones. So if it's from Loopring, or let's say it's from Cybercrew, Protocol Gemini, you might see a nice big pop-up that's got a great design and a nice flow to it. But for other ones, it's like a random wallet address, maybe you don't want to get notified on that, and you just want to see it whenever you go into your red packet library. So different ways to do that, but we're thinking about the right flows and the right amount of notifications, because we don't want to be spamming you guys nonstop whenever you guys get red packets. Another one that we're looking at, which is pretty gaming related, is multi-wallet royalties. So right now, as you guys know, if you're creating NFTs, you mint it, and that's whatever address you mint it with is the address that the royalties are sent to. So now we're looking at ways to incorporate being able to supply us with multiple wallet addresses. So let's say your royalty is 10%, you want the max amount, but this wallet gets 3%, this other one gets 2%, and the main wallet gets 5%. So being able to kind of chop them up and auto route those royalties whenever a sale happens, I think will be really cool. And being able to do that kind of on the fly. Again, looking at the right flows. Does it happen at the mint time? Does it happen through kind of like a login in a website that you have access to via Loopring to designate those? Again, just different ways to handle the same type of end result. A really cool one that you guys may not have heard about yet, I don't know if we talked about it, is the L2 dApp browser. So just having a browser directly within your wallet. So if you go to like Loop Exchange, if you go to Loop Exchange site, you could log into that really easily, and then do all your purchases real quick, check out, and you're good to go. The connection happens seamlessly in the back end. So that one's actually really underway. We're actually testing it right now. We're noticing a few hiccups, to be honest, because it's using the Trust Web3 provider, but more often than not, it works great, and we're just kind of fine-tuning it up before we release it out. So really excited to see that one hit, because that kind of leads into being able to play mobile optimized games directly from within the wallet, right? So I talked about Spike's game, being able to go to his site and start playing from directly within your wallet via the L2 dApp browser, I think is going to be really cool. Obviously, it'll be more appropriate for the mobile optimized games, but in general, I think it's just a really cool concept. And then the last one that's kind of on top of our radar is, you could do this today. I don't think anybody is, but, instead of having, let's say, 1,000 editions of a weapon or a clothing item or whatever it is, minting individual NFTs rather than multiple editions, and then we can support stats, right? So within the metadata, we could have it point to a database. And if you're using this weapon within a game, maybe you're leveling it up, and then at the end of it, you want to sell it, and now it sells for higher because it's a leveled up weapon. Really, again, fine-tuning that flow, figuring out what the right cadence is for updates. If the game wants to handle it, if they want it more on the blockchain, we think we have a pretty good solution for it, but just talking to different creators and developers to make sure that we're hitting the nail on the head there and getting you guys the right solution the way that you want it. So more to come on all of these. Again, some of them are pretty well underway, releasing in 1, 2, 3 weeks, whatever that is, and some of them are more concept phase, really kind of fleshing it out and seeing where the bottlenecks are, where the hiccups are, and then fine tuning and going back to the drawing board a little bit, then releasing when it's ready.
Yeah, super cool. A lot going on. And just to emphasize again, like Loopring, we work with developers and we get a lot of these feature infrastructure requests, and we build this stuff out. And then it's up to our partners and whoever we're working with to kind of take it where it goes and like make it a very cool user experience. So I know Protocol Gemini is integrating a lot of this stuff, but yeah, I'm super excited about the targeted red packets also, just because I think the implications of these targeted red packets can be much bigger than even just NFTs. It can also, because you can put ERC20 tokens into red packets also and target those, they could even be used in for example, Loopring Pay in the future. Imagine walking into a store and wanting to purchase a physical item, and you could send a targeted red packet, or the store could send a targeted red packet with the price of the invoice directly to your phone, and you just instantly pay it. It makes P2P a lot easier. There's a lot of ripple effects that this infrastructure could lead to, which is super cool to think about. And yeah, if anyone else has anything to add
I think again, it's one of those things. It's like you build it and they'll come, but like for people to understand, like, you know, a lot of these kind of principles exist, but they're not very efficient. And to kind of streamline all that is huge, you know, especially with, you know, in regards to gaming. So like the core infrastructure is there. Like it's feasible to think that you could play a match, you know, in a game, no game in particular, but a game, you know, made on Loopring, and you could have all your achievement badges automatically delivered to people, you know, based on their completion, you know, and it's an actual NFT. And, you know, they can trade it, they can sell it, you know, like the possibilities are almost endless. You know, I don't want to say possibilities are endless, but like that in gaming already exists in an inefficient way. Just imagine, you know, the utility function and, you know, kind of positive benefits of having that kind of core infrastructure available.
And just at the core of it all, the foundation of it all, like users being able to own all their own assets because it's on blockchain and using NFTs. I think that's just such an important differentiator between Web3 and Web2, and also such a big incentive driver that's going to really push the adoption of Web3 once we can get the user experience to be as seamless as Web2, which we're getting closer to every single day. So yeah, I'm super excited about the future.
For sure. Did you guys have other things to go over, or should we start inviting people up?
One last topic, I think, Blank, if you want to touch on it.
No, you talk as much as you want.
No.
I got all the stuff on my agenda off. That's why I was asking you.
I know just a lot of people have been asking about Layer 3 and just the implications of Layer 3, what it all means. Blank, maybe you want to go into that, and I can hop on, jump in if you miss anything, and then, yeah, we can start inviting people up.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think you guys have probably already seen some of it, right? Everybody's on this call is most likely familiar with Tycho. We're also deploying on Arbitrum, and then we have our sights set on a few others. So you could kind of think of it a few different ways, but I'd say the main one, if we want to just focus on Tycho right now, is that the whole goal, right, to get mass adoption is to bring the cost down. And Layer 2 is already pretty cheap, but you know, anytime you want to interact with Layer 1, you're still paying those gas fees. So if some hot new project is minting on L1 and just spiking gas like crazy, you know, you're paying $100 to $200 to create a smart wallet, which isn't scalable. Nobody's going to want to do that. I know I did it because I was just excited to get going, but you know, most people want to wait until it's a lot cheaper. So, you know, with Tycho as being a Layer 2 and then us building on top of that, we're able to deploy our smart contracts directly onto Tycho, right? The whole EVM equivalent, you could just copy paste your code without having to do a whole bunch of work, is super attractive. And then what that means for our users is that if they want to spin up a smart wallet, super cheap, right? You know, if they want to add guardians, a couple pennies. If they want to do a daily quota, a couple pennies. It's not the same type of cost that they're used to today. So it's basically getting a lot higher level of security and just, I guess, level of comfort for some people as an EOA wallet without having to really pay the same kind of fees that you guys are used to paying today. So just for a couple bucks, let's say, you could have Guardians enabled, you could have your smart wallet, and you could just feel a lot more secure about where your assets are at. That's kind of where we see it going. And then obviously being able to have a DEX or have Loopring earn on these different L2s as well is also super attractive. We could tap into more communities and service a lot more individuals, which I think is super exciting. So being able to bring the technology to more places is what we're really looking to do here.
Exactly. Yeah, I think you hit it on the head there. I think that's all the topics we wanted to cover. If raise your hands if you guys have got some questions that you want us to answer, if it's like related, preferably. Please know when airdrop. Raise your hands. We'll bring some people up.
Governor?
Yo, good afternoon, gents. Thanks for an insightful discussion. I had two questions,
Welcome.
both unrelated. The first one, you briefly touched on this, Brendan, about the potential for existing businesses to run their own Metagate. And this was something I was looking a couple of months back when you did the original Ask Me Anything on Reddit. And you said that was a potential for the future. So glad to hear that confirmed again. I was just wondering, have you already been approached by businesses already interested in the technology? I don't know if that's something that you can disclose at this time.
So I can say very confidently yes, but I can't go into specifics or like dox those companies. But it's not like a small number, and I think that once you have a few more tangible use cases in conjunction with our upcoming mobile app and how those will kind of interplay, I think we have a very strong potential for that alone. You know what I mean? From a forward-looking statement and interest from other companies. Which will only help with what we're able to kind of empower the metagates with, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I kind of saw that from day one with the potential of displaying your NFTs, and then if you have an inbuilt marketplace that works, then you almost have your own digital store there. So glad to hear that people are already interested in this pioneering technology and taking advantage of it. That's awesome. The second question I had was for Loopring side, with the Google or Apple sign-in options and then storing the private key within the cloud. How are you addressing the concerns with potential cloud hacks obtaining those private keys? I remember sometime last year there was a lot of concerns about how private keys were being stored in Apple's cloud system, and there was a vector of attack in there somewhere.
Yeah, for sure. I can take that. I would encourage you to read our most recent blog called Cloud Recovery 2.0. We touch on it a little bit in there, but basically we've kind of designed this system in a pretty advanced way. I don't see any other kind of companies doing this type of cloud recovery where it's, I think we have 5 different environments where there's different keys held, and I don't want to say anything wrong here, but basically you would have to hack 3 to 5 different environments in order to like put the key together and reproduce it and steal any asset. So just hacking the cloud, like somebody's personal cloud, would not be enough to steal the key, because the key that is stored in that cloud is fully encrypted, and you'd actually have to get another root key, I believe, to decrypt it, which is stored in a different environment. There's, I think, 5 different environments total, and you'd have to hack, I think, 3 out of the 5 in order to like reproduce the private key and steal any assets. So it's pretty secure. It's not perfect. Social recovery is probably your most secure option, but as a cloud recovery free option that's doesn't cost money on chain. I think it's one of the best ones out there.
Fantastic. Glad to hear. And thank you very much for taking my questions. Looking forward to hearing the rest.
Thanks, Gavin.
Bye.
The content guy, if you have a question, go ahead.
Yep. Hello, good evening, everyone, from my time zone this evening. So, actually, I want to ask if you have any plan for um, the fashion, bringing the fashion into game, like having my own skin and kind of footwears I want to have in the game in the gaming space because for if you'll be having the kind of wears that I would like to have some kind of fashion wears in the game, kind of like to have some clothing, some gears, some fashion gears in the game, and some fashion experience. Because I would like to have the variety to select different different type of 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 wears. I would just want to stick to one kind of wears or colors. If ranging from my shoe to my outfit to my gears, every fashion gear in the game is to just like to make the experience more better for me, and like so it will just be a lot of like having to say the same thing every time. Will there be expansion towards that side? And also because for the future of gaming now, we don't just want to say something repeatedly. We want to have vast choice. We want to move around and see different things, not saying the same thing over and over again. Not that I'll be saying the kind of outfits I wear in this game, in this multiverse, and still have the same outfits in another multiverse. Would there be variety? Would there be variety of the environment, variety of the wares, the people I get to meet with, the people I get to connect with? Would there be variety? Would I not be saying something all over again until I get bored? So I just want to know how well you want to infuse that into the project.
Yeah. That's actually, I'm glad you kind of asked that because it's kind of a big focal point for us is that customization. So, like, we've added in the last update, the Serenity update, the ability to customize floor and wall textures, in your metagate. So, like, even if you buy the Zen Garden and you don't like the default colors, you can change it so substantially that it looks like a totally different space. Now, on that front, there is some kind of technologies that we've submitted patents for and are in the process of submitting additional patents for that will really kind of create this modular customization and really take it to a whole nother state. But yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Part of what you're able to do, I like to kind of compare these to that white room in the Matrix where, he's like, Neo's like, I need guns. And then, all these racks of guns come out and, they basically equip how they want. I envision a kind of similar experience in that you'll have all these tools and customization and modularity right at your fingertips, right in your metagate. So I think that's a huge focal point of ours, and I think you'll be very happy with what we've got in store for you.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And actually, I want to ask again, maybe you have figured out like you do more of physical and digital fashion sense, and you are trying to infuse that because I saw something from 10K NFT. They are trying to like bring the physical world and the digital world that I can get to have a wear in my physical world, and I can still try to put that same wear into the digital space in my gaming experience because I kind of have a collection of my kind of gears that I want to wear in a game in the metaverse, that I want to like sensitize my experience because I really want to feel like I'm really in the game. I want to feel involved a lot in the game. I want to have the full experience. So I kind of like my gears that I'm putting on to still be there. Because sometimes, when I try to like buy things from Nike and I want to like show it off in the metaverse to my pals, to my colleagues in the game, and I would like to like show it off to them. Like, do you have something like that? Because I kind of, yeah. It's kind of funny though, but I do like to like flaunt things that I got, like especially when I just get myself a new kicks from Nike. Because I'm a big fan of
Trust
Nike.
me, I get it.
Yeah. So like that, maybe because I kind of saw that idea from 10K NFT. So I'm like, if everybody can just try to as much as possible to infuse that into the gaming world, because I really want to have the topmost of the experience. I want to enjoy it, and from there I'll be the preacher of the world, because I really like to convince more of my guys, because I have a lot of gaming guys. So I just want everybody to have. I want the metaverse to grow, and everybody should just have a different experience, and something that we can just always go back to anytime we just feel like we want to like kick out of this universe and be in the metaverse. But thank you, good work. I really enjoy what you've been saying so far and what you've been doing. I can see you building. You're building for the future. Thank you so much.
Got it. Thanks for the great questions.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask people that once you do talk and we're done asking questions, if you could get off the stage, like, yeah, perfect. Thank you. Just so we can get everybody up here that has questions. I think there's a limit. Perfect. Thanks, guys. Let's see. Who's next? Was it Buck or Helios?
I think Helios was next.
All right. You got the stage, Helios.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Helios. Thank you for putting the time, and glad to see everybody, actually hear everybody, in the real world. It's really cool. And thanks for all the community for showing up and supporting. And I had a question, based on kind of the comment, kind of on the technical side too, is kind of a philosophy. Like, where do we draw the line? Blank, you had mentioned making it so easy to sign up for a wallet that is just the email. But then we lose some of that autonomy and some of that ownership. So where's that line, do you think, and maybe everybody could just give their take of between making it easy for the user? We want things that are accessible, things that are easy, but also we lose certain qualities of that ownership, of that autonomy, of that self-custody? And what's that line? And then another one on that, on that note, is similar to Loopring. As you develop for specific games, where's the line between developing things that help one game, and I think, or developing things that help an ecosystem? And like the web wallet was really interesting, where it could totally benefit a particular game, but it also kind of multiplies for other cases. So wanted to know you guys' take on those two things.
Yo, Helios, thanks for the question. I'll give my little bit, and then B and Brendan, if you guys want to hop in on your sides if you want. But I'd say on my side, talking about the web wallet, trying to make it super easy, right? That's like one route a user can take. The other route, and I don't know if we mentioned this, so I apologize, is that if you have like an EOA wallet, you can use that to sign in to be the owner of the smart wallet. So there's still some autonomy there, right? And you can have that kind of run the show instead of using an email. So we're trying to service both types of users, the people that are already pretty Web3 based and already have wallets established and they like doing that themselves. And then, on the flip side of that, the guys who have no idea what's going on with the blockchain or NFTs or this and that, and they're just looking to play a game and just signing up with an email. So I'd say from that perspective, we are trying to consider both options. But like I said before, it's really great having these conversations and hearing all of your guys' feedback, just to make sure we're going down the right path and we're not building something that isn't going to be able to service half the population or whatever it's going to be, right? So any questions, comments, or whatever, definitely feel free to keep throwing them in Discord, and you guys know where to find us, just so we can answer them, talk through them, and maybe even if they're really good points that we haven't considered yet, feed those back up to the developers and engineers to hash it out and kind of walk through it with us and bring it back to you guys. So I definitely appreciate those questions. On the other question that you had, I'd say, there's definitely project specific questions and ones that we feel will benefit a bunch of different games. And, to that end, I'd say the one that is kind of relatable to a lot of different games is the whole like leveling system, and how do you service that in a scalable, efficient way. So as I mentioned before, being able to batch mint, let's say 1,000 unique NFTs, maybe they're all some Chrome Cannon, right, from Cybercrew, and instead of having 1,000 editions of it, now you have 1,000 unique NFTs that don't have their own NFT ID. And then again, I'm not saying Brendan's doing this on Cybercrew, but maybe he's got a game, he's got a database on the back end that's capturing all the kills that you get with that weapon, and you've leveled it up to level 10 now, and you want to sell it off because you can get some money for it that you need to go pay rent or whatever it is. That services, or that concept services a bunch of different games, and everybody, I feel like, is trying to solve for it in their own way, but being able to work and talk with these different game developers, bounce ideas off of them, and come up with a solution that works for them, I think is beneficial to everybody. So again, you're going to definitely have some things that are pretty project specific, but then you're going to have these other instances where we can almost have like a round table, right, and get a meeting of the minds together, kind of hash through things, figure out the right flows and what works best for everybody.
Yeah, completely agree, Chris. And just to kind of pile on top of that, I think there has to be a transitory phase, like a transition phase. There has to be, like, part of my horrible analogy, but like a gateway drug that gets a majority of the population into crypto. And if that's using your Google ID or Apple ID to sign in and create a smart wallet for the first time, I think that's a good transition. And then once they start interacting with NFTs, start interacting with games, and the crypto world, I think they're going to transition over and be like, oh, I'm going to set up my social guardians now and get rid of this cloud recovery and disable that feature. But I think there needs to be that transition period, because if you look at the statistics right now, I think somewhere around 2% of the world's population has an Ethereum address, and of that, maybe 20%, so less than half a point of the world's population has ever interacted with DeFi. So basically actually using EOA wallets or smart wallets or anything like that. It's nothing. If you're listening to this space right now, you're in the 99th percentile of the most technically advanced crypto people. And I know a lot of you don't feel like you're super technically advanced, but compared to the rest of the world, you are. So most people don't really know how to interact with crypto. They're very scared about what the steps are. So we need this transition period where, we make it as seamless as possible to get people into the Web3 world as the gateway drug. And then once they start interacting, I'm confident people are going to switch over. I was a very early Bitcoin user. I bought Bitcoin for the first time using Coinbase, early on, and that was a centralized platform, and I didn't know anything else. And then slowly I transitioned over to Ethereum and using EOA wallets and now smart wallets. And it's a process. It's gonna be a shortened process for a lot of the future adoption, but it's gonna be a process nonetheless. That's my opinion on it anyway.
Yeah, it's a really valid point. I thank both of you for that.
Cool. Right. Thanks for the question, Helios.
Who do we got next, Buck?
Hello, may I speak?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, first off, thanks for having me. Just a lurker, about to finish up med school and start my career soon. My girlfriend's a pediatrician.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That's why I'm a lurker. Just two quick questions, not to take up too much of your time. Are you guys involved in AAA games or AAA game developers, bringing your technology to them? And would you guys, based on a Cybercrew NFT space call that I was in before, would you guys be open to using your technology for medical related uses? My girlfriend and I are very interested in maybe playing games, streaming games for extra life, doing charity work. We're really big on that, and we're really big on bringing up our local scene. That's it.
Yeah. Gosh, I don't know where to start. Let's see. I don't know which specific technology you'd be talking about, like licensing from Cybercrew. Would you mind telling me what you were thinking there? Or...
Oh no, just I know we're all starting off with gaming and whatnot, but if some entrepreneur was to say, certain assets like patient data, patient receipts and whatnot, patient notes, just for them to have it themselves. Would that be something like you can put on through your technology and to keep it safe?
I think there definitely are instances where like medical data and they're using blockchain or some kind of archival or even like a retrieval system. But when it does come to medical stuff, and I'm obviously not like an expert or anything, not qualified to discuss this, but like, there's HIPAA violations and there's certain procedures that need to be followed, so I don't think we'd be equipped to do that. But if, we were approached by the right people and there was something that we could do to help benefit people, we're usually listening to that type of stuff because, we talk the talk and walk the walk in as much that we kind of have to work all collectively together to kind of improve and build for the future. So I think that answers your question.
Yeah, no worries.
No, I would just ditto on top of that. Like as the Loopring, a technology provider, like we get approached by people all the time with solid business plans and ideas. And I would say, like, if there's someone from the medical space that has a solid business plan and a solid company to like push something like that forward, we would work with them on the technology back end, of course, to be able to make it happen, as long as they handled all the kind of front end compliance, all that sort of stuff.
Sounds good. Thank you for answering my question.
No worries. Thank you.
Oh, I also wanted to just kind of circle back to one of the people that was up here. I think it was like the content guy. Where is he? Is that you? Content guy. Yeah. He had questions about like customizing like an avatar and like clothing and stuff. And I totally spaced it, but with multiplayer, we're gonna have avatars. So right now, you don't see your body or anything. But I completely, because I'm working on this stuff every day. I didn't even think to say that, but yes, this is part of the plan. You will have avatars, and there is a multiplayer that we've been working on for Metagates.
Yeah, and I don't want to speak for you, but I know that one of your philosophies is just making everything customizable and making it super easy so that you don't even have to be a creator or a designer to be able to customize this stuff. I think that's the future, and you guys are doing a great job of building it.
Thank you so much. Hey, Physical, I see you there. Oh, wait, Physical. I think it was Daniel before you. I wish this thing ranked who asked first.
It doesn't matter. He can go.
Physical, you ready to say something?
What's up? Cheers all. Thanks, Daniel. We will let you go first, man. Obviously, we love working with both you, Protocol Gemini and Loopring, right? So GG's all around. We just wanted to ask a question that was asked in our Discord, actually. Started a conversation because we all know, remember, and love the GME wallet. And to hear this amazing announcement about Loopring's smart web browser wallet, how about features? Anything you can tell us there? There were a lot of features that got removed from the other one, right? Swapping, for example. Would those be things that we can do in this new web smart wallet?
Yeah, basically everything you see within the Loopring Smart Wallet on the mobile version right now, you should be able to do that on the web version as well. And then it'll just be a lot easier to connect, a lot more connectivity between PCs and laptops and anyone that's kind of gaming on those systems or doing different things on those systems.
I want to elaborate just a little bit more on that too, because it's a great question. Some of you guys might have noticed, some of our kind of long-term fans, noticed that we, on one of our original roadmaps that we put out, obviously some things change, and we try to keep everyone abreast of any kind of regulations or changes that, again, as a small startup, we're subject to those regulations and stuff. But we try to stay abreast of it and kind of give this transparent outlook on our future. But like, one of the things we had planned to do and make was a Protocol Gemini wallet. And with our technology partnership with Loopring, it's taken that off, our plate, so we can focus on the other stuff. It's like, I don't necessarily have to reinvent the wheel and have all these kind of redundant or inefficient, processes or waste resources on something, that's already so streamlined and great. You know what I mean?
This is the beauty of having great partners, is being able to lean on what each other's specialties. 100% agree with that. Cheers all. Thank you very much for the time for asking the question. You can already see in our Discord community, it's like, hell yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. These features and having that little just bit confirmed just puts so many more people hyped up. So cheers you all.
Yeah, and just to add, we are always working on new features also. And yeah, shout out Physical Utility for branching the physical, the meat space, and the NFT meat space. So yeah, thanks for doing what you do.
Cheers, you guys. Hell yeah. And let's fucking go all around.
All right, Daniel, it's your time to shine.
Thank you, Protocol. Awesome Protocol Gemini. Everything that you guys put out is awesome. I'm really up here because I've spent over a year tweeting Byron, and I wasn't going to pass up the opportunity to come up and actually say hello with my voice. So, Byron, hello. It's nice to verbally meet you.
You're awesome, Daniel. Seriously. Thank you for being such a super fan. I'm a big fan of you too. So thanks for all you do. And one day I'm going to meet you in the physical world and buy you a beer.
Yeah, I didn't forget. When people tell me they're going to buy me a beer, I write that down because I collect on those. So,
please do.
Yeah. So I mean, and Blank, what's up? And I guess I have to. I'm obliged to ask a question. So I'll just leave it with when's the next quarterly report?
So B basically writes it, then asks me to take a look, but that'll be October? So sometime early October, I guess.
Yep.
I was just kidding. I love you guys. I love that you're always improving. Keep up the good work, and I'll be out there in the comments.
We love you, Daniel. Thank you for all you do.
All right. Let's see. I think it was Andy and then Wonton. And then I'm going to just say one more time. I think we still got time if any speakers want to come. Oh, and Miss Carrie. How could I miss you? Jeez, I'm a super fan.
Hey, this is Andy. Thank you so much for having me. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, loud and clear.
All right. So a little bit about my background. I'm an action RPG junkie, right? I played Diablo 2 a whole bunch. I lived through the real money auction house of Diablo 3, and I did the hardcore challenge on Diablo 4. And all these games, all these RPG games seem to be fundamentally extremely intriguing to me in terms of how NFTs could be linked to the pieces of gear that you get within the game. And then you could add in components of, say, PvP to defeat an enemy and loot their body, take their gear, take their NFTs, essentially. I don't know to what degree Protocol Gemini or the other teams on this call have it in terms of being aligned with games like that, but do you guys see an avid application of what you guys are building to facilitate something like that?
1,000%, yes. I'm a gamer. I haven't talked much with Dee or Chris about this, but they know, I'm a gamer. I got an Xbox here at the office. I've lost a lot of hours on Diablo 4, and I think that you are really starting to kind of understand what the benefits to gamers can be. So imagine, again, this isn't speaking of the future necessarily of anyone in particular, yada yada. The normal kind of like caveat I have to say, legally speaking, to not disclose anything, right? But really, imagine a scenario where you get this epic drop of a dope sword in an RPG in a game you're playing, and then you can rack up kills on it, and it becomes legendary, and you've got this legendary sword in a game with 1,000 PvP kills, and then you can decide I don't like this game anymore, or I want to sell this item. Imagine a scenario where you own that asset and you can sell it, and then someone can immediately, buy it and use it. And I think that type of potential is inherent in what Loopring and we're building.
All right, that's really intriguing news to me. Thank you so much, Protocol Gemini and Byron and team. It's great to be a part of the community. So thank you.
Yeah,
thanks for being part of the community. Appreciate it.
All right, you're gonna have to tell me, Miss Carrie or Wonton, who was next?
I think Miss Carrie was next. I could be wrong.
Carrie, let's hear from you.
Hello, everyone. I wanted to ask about the world scan, because to my knowledge, Protocol kind of picked up on the technology that Google didn't advance on. And with the 3D scans throughout the world, will that be linked through the Loopring wallet? That would be a good way, people who aren't gamers but are using the access to the maps worldwide. And I liked your how you talked about the movie Roger Rabbit. Is this something that could all intertwine together? Like, I want to play around over in China and walk around and see what's going on and walk through the buildings. And I was wondering if you could give an update on that.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. And it's pretty relevant with the, some of you guys already know this, but we've been testing in a closed beta, I call it, just because it's just team. But we've been testing that iOS version of the Protocol Gemini mobile app. And, the basis for it is it's kind of like a 3D version of Google Maps. And then you add in the other components like community sourced feedback and info. So like you can map out locations. You can tell people like, hey, this spot has great queso. So it's kind of like Google Maps, like a 3D version of Google Maps mixed with Yelp, mixed with, Wikipedia, and it's kind of all in one. And, obviously I get real passionate about the future when when you hear about a technology, it's exciting. But when you think about, piecing together these technologies, you start to kind of form this, I don't know if anyone's going to get this, but Voltron, like you make this thing that is greater than the sum of the parts or whatever, right? You've got this whole thing that, like I'm interested in going on hikes. Let me check the cool hikes and tips from people that like to hike in my, area. And then you can get like, no, I can disclose this, a heads up display, in augmented reality, in the mobile app. That's one of the features, but like you can actually see it on the trail where you need to go. And I think that's going to be pretty exciting for a lot of people. So I think that absolutely you can do a ton of things, with the right teams working together and kind of, bringing that A squad together as far as technology goes.
Thank you for that. Will that be something that we can access directly through the Loopring browser? Kind of make it its own entity in there?
That's the plan. One thing that has to be considered and then revisited constantly, and you have to have the lawyers look at, and you have you have a lot of moving pieces on the board for something like that, because if we're building, and this is what we are doing, is building on Apple iOS and Android simultaneously. We want to really kind of empower people to use the mobile app, and like I said, stay true to democratizing technology. But like when you're talking about building on two different platforms, it's not as easy as just like, oh, here's an update. Like you literally have to go through their documentation, make sure nothing's changed, make sure that certain regions aren't blocked, that there aren't rules. Like, I think they had something where like people were getting thrown in prison in Malaysia recently because they were wearing rainbow colored swatches. Like there's so many variables and so many things to consider. But yes, that's part of the plan, and that's something that we want to do, and we're committed to doing.
Thank you. I'll step down now.
Thanks. We're happy to see you. We love all the memes.
Oh, guys, very much.
Love the memes. Thanks, Miss Carey.
We got Wonton next. Come on up.
Hi there. Okay, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yep.
Awesome. I came in a little late, so sorry if you touched on this at the beginning. The question I've written down, I picked up. With mobile gaming being, like a 2 billion user industry, multi-billion dollars going through it, and Loopring being a like mobile centered wallet, what steps are being taken to capture that market from the Loopring team, and seamlessly bring in that market into Web3 gaming beyond, the Apple and Google account integration with it? And with that, building off of that, what sort of tooling can a game developer use to easily integrate that sort of technology into, mobile game frameworks, like Game Maker, Unity, Godot, similar stuff like that?
Chris, do you want to touch on that?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if I understand the question correctly, so the game developers that we have been talking to, it's a lot of, right, like if we use Spike, for example, he's building in, was it like WebGL or something? But anyway, these game developers, it's kind of the same motto, right? Like you should be able to build your game anywhere, and then it's just incorporating the NFTs. And we have pretty good, I'd say, documentation. We've updated it recently by just obviously adding more documentation around some of the endpoints that weren't there before, and then adding additional endpoints based on creators and developers requesting them. So when I think about games, it's a lot of what Shrike had talked about earlier and what we're talking about, which is being able to easily mint and distribute those NFTs based on different achievements, unlockables, and then being able to actually utilize those in games. So the idea behind red packets, the idea behind the targeted blind boxes and things like that are all geared towards the gaming world. So defeating a boss, you automatically can receive a red packet, and if you want to open it and claim it, you can. If you don't, you disregard it, and it kind of dismisses it and sends it to your quote unquote trash, and it'll go away in a couple of days or whatever that is. But being able to provide all of that functionality and being able to level up NFTs, being able to sell them, we are working with some game developers on creating marketplaces or smaller marketplaces within their games. So it's more targeted in terms of being able to whitelist collections or what have you to be able to sell and trade within that marketplace. So we are building all of that out, and then as we've talked about before, it's really just API calls that again are documented. and those calls are happening on the back end, so you could facilitate the transfers and sales of those things. So I'd say that's kind of like what we are seeing right now, and then getting people into those games easier, right? So being able to create or spin up wallets just using an email address or a phone number, but making that process feel more seamless and not as Web3 as it does today is really the next hurdle that we're looking to overcome here. So those web-based wallets for the PC games, and then a more streamlined process for mobile games is what's in store. And I don't know if you were on the call earlier, but again, kind of hitting on Spike again, his game is mobile optimized, right? And with the L2 dApp browser that we have coming out, we're essentially just testing that functionality, making sure everything looks and works as expected, so people can play his game. And I think that'll start inspiring other teams to create more mobile optimized games, whether they be basic or whether they be, pretty intense, and all being able to play that directly within your Loopring smart wallet, I think will be really cool. Furthermore, I mean, then once you have multiple chains available, right, games that are built on other chains, you'd be able to do the same there. So it's all going to be, we'll try to make it all as seamless as possible and intuitive possible. And I think we're starting to see those enhancements come throughout time. I think B shared a image the other day on Twitter of how the app looked a year ago versus what it looks like today. It almost looks like a huge facelift, right? A lot of it doesn't look the same anymore. We're really trying to polish it and bring a better UI and UX to the community, and we'll continue to do that with all these updated features and enhancements that we're looking to roll out here in the near and medium term. B, I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to add in it, but that's just my 2 cents.
No, you nailed it. Thanks.
One thing you did, I heard you mention, was playing within the wallet. What about integrations for, a game that's hosted on the Play Store that's downloaded, and then like integrating the wallet into a background to where normal Web 2 user doesn't even realize that there's a wallet created and still is able to fully interact and utilize all the utility behind that NFTs and whatnot that's in that wallet. But then, doesn't necessarily have to list and sell, but still has that wallet creation. Is there something in the pipeline for that, or something to be able to make that facilitated, or to facilitate something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like we kind of touched on that earlier in the call also. Our new web-based smart wallet will be able to seamlessly be created by anyone with like a Google ID, Apple ID, or an EOA wallet, or even a phone number. So users might not even be aware that they're setting up a smart wallet if done properly. They'll just have this web browser wallet running in the background and be able to use it to sign into different games. Maybe they get airdropped an NFT when they sign up for the wallet, and that NFT gives them access to a game. We want to make it as seamless as possible and abstract away all of the complexity for the end user.
Yeah, I'd say the only thing I'd add there is, since it sounds like a lot of the focus is on mobile right now, I'd say, end goal, or I don't want to say end goal, I hate saying end goal because there's always more that we want to do, but like a easy future state that I could see us getting to, right, is working with a game developer, and as we've talked about, using that email or whatever login you want to, you want to do to spin up a wallet, you'd sign into that game, it could spin up a Loopring wallet on the back end. That game, if you wanted, if the game developer wanted, right, they could send you an NFT and pay for your activation fee for that wallet. Even if you don't activate that wallet while you're playing that game developer can still shoot you NFTs as you're unlocking achievements, right? The wallet doesn't have to be activated to receive NFTs. And then maybe later down the road, you've played enough and the game developer says, sure, I'll pay the 20 cents to activate this wallet because it seems like he's really into it and he's giving us a lot of his time or whatever it is. And then they could pay for your activation. And then you already have an activated L2 wallet available for you that's kind of been all done throughout that game in the back end, and you weren't even realizing that you were collecting NFTs. And then if you ever want to go to recover, and these are kind of like tricky words because they're very Loopring specific, but if you then go to your Loopring wallet app, you could recover that wallet and access all those NFTs directly there. And then if you wanted to, you could log into a marketplace or what have you to then go sell them or trade them when you're ready to do that. But if you just want to stay a Web 2 user and you just want to collect those NFTs, you're just playing the game as normal. So there's no tricks or anything that you have to know about Web 3 to do that.
All right, let's get these other speakers that are patiently waiting. I think it was Razorleaf, Marco, and Lunar. Let's save you for last, Lunar, because I want to say something about you. Let's start with Razor.
Hi guys.
Hey, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm a little shy public speaker, but we'll see how this goes.
Don't
sorry,
worry,
it's not
we can't
really
even see your
related to what
face.
was lucky. It's not really related to what you've been talking about today, but something I wanted to ask. Modern Warfare 3 announced that they are actually doing skin transfers from Modern Warfare 2. And I thought that was kind of pretty big in the whole kind of assets ownership thing. I just wondered if you thought that was kind of a threat to NFTs, or if that's actually a big step in kind of gaming asset ownership.
Oh, that's great, buddy. I don't know why you're shy about asking great questions like that. I didn't know that about what they were doing. I haven't played, as much of a gamer as I am. I think I've played Modern Warfare like once. I've got too many games on my agenda, like my Steam account.
I just know everyone went nuts when they kind of started talking about the Fortnite.
Sorry about that, guys. I think it's because we said Twitter too many times instead of X.
This was it.
Sorry about that. Any of those last speakers come back up? I think it was Marco, Lunar, and then there's one other person, I believe.
Yeah, let's answer these last three questions. We've gone over the 90 minutes, but it's okay.
Yeah, no worries. This is the after party. We've got time for three more. but let's just start calling it X, I guess. No.
Sorry, Elon.
So are we bringing up the guy who asked the last question about?
Yeah, because
okay.
It rugged right on him, so I feel bad.
Yeah, I want to make sure that we get to him.
I can't find him in the crowd, but if you're in here, just request to come back up. We'll let you back up.
I can just start with Marco while that guy hopefully finds his way back in. Marco, you got something to ask us?
Yes, I'm here. Hello. I'm here. Hello. Hi. Thank you for having me. It was indeed a weird moment where the whole thing got plugged off and suddenly we found another after party. So now I'm the first after party person speaking. So I hope, the guy with the previous person to me had an interesting question. So I hope he will find a way to speak after me. So I'm personally a fan of Loopring technology since 2 years now. And I did have some conversation with Byron in the recent past. So I'm a user of the wallet, and I'm super bullish on the technology and on the future uses. And I'm excited for this gaming narrative also to see how this will play. My question wants to look a little bit like take a step back and looking at Loopring in the context of the overall layer 2 system, of the overall Ethereum ecosystem, because I'm still puzzled. As much as I love the technology and I use it and I see the value of it, I'm still puzzled on what's happening within the Twitter/X spaces and all these mainstream crypto topic of knowledge sharing and information and podcasts and whatnot. And I'm still not sure, and I don't understand how come Loopring is not ever mentioned among the top tier layer 2s out there. I believe that within also this gaming narrative will bring a lot of fresh juice and lots of interesting connections to it. But when I look at my Twitter feed and my podcasts and people that I relate to in terms of like Blockworks, in terms of Bankless and whatnot, it still puzzles me that Loopring is never mentioned as one of those layer 2 as much as Arbitrum, Optimism, and Base and whatnot. We are aware that Loopring has one of these application-specific rollups, but for that, I hear about DYDX a lot, or at least relatively more. And I wonder whether the Loopring team can. What is your opinion, and how do you see that? More than what kind of active steps do you want to do in terms of improving that? Mentioning that I don't see any layer 2 as competitor to one another, because I see all these layer 2s as growing the pie, so to say. So we play in a space to grow and acquire more users as possible. But yeah, I would love to hear your honest take on that. That's my question. Thank you.
Well, we can't, in my opinion, like, I don't want to go too deep on this and like say anything that is purely speculation or anything like that, but incentives kind of run the world, and hot narratives and all that sort of thing. Loopring's been around for a long time. We got talked about a lot. Vitalik has mentioned us a lot in different podcasts, different like blogs that he's written. But a lot of times in these like bull cycles, a lot of the topics that get the most clicks and those sort of things are like the new hot coin, the new hot thing, the new hot narrative, blah, blah, blah. So I think a lot of the kind of, I guess, the projects that have been around a long time and just like continue building through these bear markets and like putting out solid updates, they kind of just get thrown under the rug a little bit as far as media goes. I think this happens in the mainstream media a lot too. Like a lot of times, like good solid projects, good solid companies don't get talked about too much, just because the hot new narratives get the most clicks, right? So anyways, it's just kind of my opinion, speculation. A lot of media also like are investors and bring on a lot of projects that maybe they're invested in or have closer connections with, stuff like that. So it's hard to say exactly, but all we can do is continue to build and continue to put our name out there. During this bear market, we haven't been too loud. We've been more focused on building and just putting out solid infrastructure, solid updates, solid features that we know are going to be like home runs in the future once this next adoption cycle starts. So that's been our focus. But yeah, during this next adoption cycle, like we fully plan on getting out there, possibly even starting like our own podcast, getting our voice out there more, and just kind of doing what we can control, because a lot of that stuff we can't control. But yeah, we will be putting our voice out there a lot more, and we'll get creative about it. So you'll hear a lot more from us in the future.
That's good to know. Thank you. And because the idea of build something cool and the users will come, I think it's good to only to a certain extent. And so yeah, all that you say, like I hope I hope to see that cool products are being built and that I see. I just hope that the ability to have this kind of spaces or kind of more public view where more people can hear about this technology can be out there. That's my take.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree with that.
Go ahead.
You can go ahead, B.
No, I just wanted to, just one last point is like, I think something that we've done extremely well as the Loopring Foundation is like know when to press on the gas and know when to kind of hold back. Because like during a lot of these bear markets is kind of where like solid marketing dollars go to die, basically, a lot of people say. So like, yeah, I think we've done a very good job of like, yeah, just knowing when to step on the gas, knowing when to kind of hold back, and just focus on building. So I will continue to do that. And I think we're going to be, yeah, good in the future. Big adoption cycle coming.
Yeah, that's great. I also think that you bring up a valid point. You know, it's like I was actually having this talk with my team earlier in the week. You know, sometimes I get told like, oh, you need to celebrate your wins and, you know, y'all have made such progress and stuff. But like the way I kind of function is like I'm always looking to build on what we've got and build and build and build. And it's like there's a certain kind of reality to it. It's like, you know what you've been building and working towards, but other people don't necessarily. And they also don't, they've got their own lives. They're doing their own things. Like, sometimes you do have to bring it to them, and show them and, engage with them. And I agree. And I think that's part of the approach, both Loopring and we're going to have moving forward.
Exactly. And yeah, just to touch on that a little bit further, like for every project you see in the top 100 in crypto right now, there's been probably 5,000 other projects that maybe used to be there and dropped out and went away, withered away. So I think people underestimate and don't value enough like how much longevity is important, and how you need to know when to press on the gas and when to hold back a little bit.
Yes, my last one sentence is this, specifically this topic of the wallet and the account obstruction. It's really hot right now on many other podcasts, and I find it really almost ridiculous that nobody mentioned the Loopring wallet, because it contains all these features, and it's just a massive. I find it like a silly moment for that. But yeah, well done with all that you did, and I hope to hear from more of Loopring from other channels as well.
Thanks, Marco. Appreciate all you do. You've been amazing in the community. You've contributed a lot. We really appreciate it.
Thanks.
But I completely agree. Loopring Smart Wallet is, I know I'm biased, but it's the best wallet out there, and we're going to be doing more in the future to get it out there.
Hey, by the way, I found Razorleaf. I didn't want him to think that we rugged like 200 people on a Twitter space just because of his question.
Sorry, Razorleaf. I know.
Razorleaf, did you want to repeat that question, or it was about the modern warfare stuff, right?
Yeah, sure. So they announced, at least I've seen a screenshot of it on the COD Reddit, that they announced they were doing skin transfers from the current Modern Warfare 2 game to the Modern Warfare 3 game that's about to be announced or revealed next week. I just wondered if you thought that was a threat to NFTs for ownership, or if you think that's actually a big step in the mainstream gaming towards gaming asset ownership.
Let me... I was actually, you can talk after, but I was cut off when I was trying to answer him, so I want to just kind of go back to what we were saying. I think it's a good thing. You know what I mean? I think that giving people options is very rare in something like, gaming in general. Like, typically the AAA game studios and consoles, they like to have their monopoly. So when you give them, the community options, that's when you as consumers, as gamers, as the people actually paying money for it, get to kind of voice. It's like your way of voting. And I think that's integral to the evolution and kind of fixing gaming, like, obviously there's tons of games that are great, and I could rattle off 10 games right off the top of my head that I love and sank countless hours into. But there's also kind of these projects, these games that were considered failures, or people are like, God, why did I spend $100 on a pre-order of this and the game's crap, right? It's because they do their market research and they know that people will still buy it. You know what I mean? So when when you get options like that, you kind of have to vote with your wallet a little bit, as far as like, wow, I really like this. Let me not just let it be like a one-time trial thing. So I hope that answers it. I think it's a good thing, but I think it'll also take us kind of collectively and gamers in general just being like, I've had it with what you're doing, give us more options. I want a weapon that I can use on 5 different games, So that's my answer.
I mean, it shows how powerful the NFT narrative is. Like you said, they do their market research and they see that users want to own their assets, or at least bring them with them, and eventually users going to ask for more. They're like, okay, I can bring it from this game to the next game, but what if I want to bring it to this other game that's that you don't own, that's not in the centralized server? The people are going to. It's a gateway drug to NFTs, in my opinion.
100%. I do agree. I'm happy everyone agrees.
Thanks for the great question. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
I think it was Lunar. So I wanted to give Lunar a shout out. I think I got you pinned. Oh, I have to put a new pin. But he put together one of the winning spaces. We organized with Spatial.io. It's like a metaverse platform. We organized with them a game jam with some really generous, cool prizes. We're probably going to be doing more of those, but we worked with them to kind of empower creators to get their messages out there. We put together a really fun, game jam. And Lunar, if you want to come up here, feel free to talk about your space. And you can even pin your space if anyone wants to try it out. It's free to play. But both our team and the judge panel from Spatial were really impressed with the space you put together.
Oh man, thank you so much. I had a little discussion last night with our community members. I guess first of all, I'm Lunar. The Lunar Camper is my name. I live full time in my home built camper shell, and that's kind of where I build out of also. So that's kind of a little backstory. I've been using Loopring for the past year. Super appreciate introduction, like everything I've been motivated to learn from joining this Loopring community. I knew nothing about digital art a year ago when I started, and it's all been just kind of a step-by-step learning experience. And as new features come out, I explore them and learn new skill, and it's just kind of slowly evolved to where it's at. But I've been working with a team called Game Ring for probably the past 6 months. I mean, I like really just making fan art for them. It's just a group of people that get together, and we have a pair of NFT dice that my friend Munsing made, and we roll the dice and give away NFTs based on the outcome. And so we've had this Game Ring group going for over a year, and then we saw this contest, and we kind of took some of the lore from the Peanut characters that Iculus created of our community members, and we combined it with the lore of and through the Order of the Gooses and through the Looking Glass. What's the name of the game? But we combined the lores together, and we made this little FTD squid nut that runs around a dark version of our game ring that has a dark pool in the middle. And
it was fun.
Thank you.
I beat it.
Yeah,
I think I had a high score.
Yeah, you got a really good time on a race. But no, it was really amazing. I really thank you guys for putting the contest on. It was just and I think by like the community for like the lore that they've provided, and Game Ring for kind of pushing me to make the game, and because I had no idea how to make any of the visual scripting when I started, and so it was all just kind of a step by step, just learn a step and put it in place, and try to make a puzzle. It was a ton of fun. I thank you a million for putting it on and inviting everyone to join it. such an amazing opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. It's why we do it. I think empowering people and motivating them to be creative is essential. So thank you for participating.
Super
Yeah,
cool.
I
love hearing. No, I was just gonna say I love hearing stories like this. Like, thanks for being a part of the community. Like, going from knowing nothing about digital creation, like you said, and a year later going this deep. That's amazing story.
But I'm always chasing somebody else. Like I've been chasing Spike. Spike's been an inspiration for, like, I posted it last night that he posted his first like GLB post with, it was like a triangle, a circle, and a square that he was interacting with, and that was like, oh shit, I need to figure out how to do this. And so I'm just always chasing other people. Really, there's so much skill everywhere, and there's so much to learn. There's this community that's full of inspiration.
Awesome to hear. Great. I love to hear it.
But the question that I had, I guess it kind of plays in. Somebody mentioned earlier, kind of comparing loopring and the system in place to YouTube, and I've heard of creators talking about like creating YouTube videos as a way to kind of create revenue, especially in this bear market. And I was wondering if Loopring just had any thoughts on a way to kind of pay creators without having a cost to purchase anything, I guess. Like, I don't know if anybody's thought of that, like a YouTube style, like nobody has to pay to go watch, but creators get paid. Yeah. But thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you. That's a really good question. Do you guys have anything like that, B or Chris?
I mean, I've heard tons of stories from the community. Like, we don't have like a video platform or anything like that at current stages, but I have heard many stories from creators kind of similar to yours, Lunar, where they didn't know much about like digital creation or anything like that. They started creating NFTs. They started posting them on Loop Exchange or if they got approved for GameStop Marketplace, and now they're making revenue that way, just selling collections, doing different, like, we've got some like crazy talented music artists in the space now on like making music NFTs. There's lots of different creative ways to create revenue. Yeah, we don't have the video platform or anything like that for content creation, but as far as like digital, like NFT creation, I know a lot of artists that are making revenue that way.
Sweet. Looks like we got one last speaker. You're done, right, Lunar? We didn't cut you off.
And just to add on to that, sorry, if you guys have we're very community focused. We're a community driven project, and we always take feedback from the community. So if anyone has any solid ideas, we're happy to explore them and build out different features that creators need. So hit us up in Discord and let us know.
Yeah, I guess my first thought would be like, if you're in like the web app, if there was like a video section that views got paid, and I don't know if like ad revenue had to pay for it, but for creators to kind of like a place besides YouTube, even if you get paid in cryptocurrency, to kind of bring people into the wallet, watch your creation process, and you can kind of get paid to kind of bring people in without anybody having to buy anything. But
yeah, absolutely.
Maybe it's something that somebody on the side needs to build on, because there's tons of potential to code your own project. So anybody listening can steal the idea.
Exactly. Great ideas.
That's awesome.
Appreciate that.
All right, I think we're going to wrap up the space for the after party, because we had that other one that was kind of a marathon. But I think we invited one more speaker up, so it's short destroyers, and we will wrap up the call.
Let's go pizza.
What's up, everyone? I had a question.
Is that how it's pronounced, pizza?
Yeah, short destroyers. Or my username that I have, I guess, on Discord and Reddit is pizza. That's how it's pronounced, or pizza. If you wanted to say it really slow, it's like
I'm hungry.
if I had my own pizza place, it would be pizza. But I had a question. I'm going to ask it. I don't know if it's been answered. I missed the first space. I was lucky that I could hop onto this one, and I'm hoping I'll be able to catch the recording of the other one. But my question is, kind of about interoperability, really. And I've heard from, people in the community that, interoperability is a movement. And I'm curious, like your thoughts on things that are coming out, like, GameStop's Player, who I am assuming is going to work with their partners in some way. Do you see, like, what do you envision the future of interoperability in gaming to look like, and what are you hoping it will look like when it comes to your projects, whether it's Protocol Gemini, Loopring, or Cybercrew? I think that's my question. I think that's a decent question to ask.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Obviously, my buzzwords. I love the cross-platform interoperable assets, with ownership. I think we're going to keep this one short, because I think we're going over on our scheduled time, and we have other meetings. But is it cool, Chris, if I just answer this real quick and then wrap up this call?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Yeah, so it's a great question. If anybody's been following, what we're doing at Protocol Gemini and Cybercrew for any period of time, you've heard us say cross-platform interoperability, but I'll just take you through the kind of vision of what that process or a user flow would be to illustrate, not only where we're at, but the potential for it. But, I talked a little bit earlier about, like, say you got a sword, in a game, and, it's an item. You can set up parameters in the game where you get loot, right, from playing it. And if you get that loot, imagine you can actually use that loot, and the ownership of it is transferable. So you get this sword from a drop. It's, an epic sword or whatever. You decide you don't like the game anymore. With the technologies that are being built and incorporating these things, you'd have ownership over that sword and be able to do whatever you want to do with it. Now, take it a step further on the user flow, right? Say you're just sick of playing with it on that game. Imagine if there's a standard protocol in place where you can use it in another game that supports it. Now, it might be like an 8-bit game or something else like Looperlands. So a Cybercrew asset is at a different kind of graphics setting, right? You would have to have a standard in place for it to operate well. But the concept is that it would work, right? So you'd have a sword, you get in one game, you decide you're done with it, you go play with it in another game, and then, say you're sick of it, you've racked up a bunch of kills across all these different games and multiverses. I want to sell it. You have ownership over that asset that you've used cross-platform, and you can sell it. Like, I think that's powerful. That vision alone in gaming would put it on a whole nother level. And then you're talking about all the other things that Loopring and, Metagates are bringing in. And I think it's hard not to be passionate and bullish on the future.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that answer.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for the question. So, apologize about cutting it short. If there were any other people wanting to come up and do speaker, We do kind of collectively have to run, but obviously we could talk about this for hours, which we have. But I think we'll just save it for another one and do these more often.
Exactly.
I think, not only the community, but we got a lot out of it. So we appreciate everyone coming here and coming to the after party too. Feel free to join our Discords and engage with us. We're happy, we're transparent, and we're passionate about building the future of gaming together.
Yeah, thanks for everyone for coming out. Really appreciate it. We value the community's feedback on everything that we do. So it helps drive many of our decisions on what we build, what the community members build, and the features and infrastructure that we build in the back end for it. So appreciate everything.
Chris, you got anything to add?
No, I think you guys wrapped it up pretty nicely. We appreciate everybody's time, and I thought the questions were great. They were pretty varied and not a bunch of like one airdrop or 10 quarterly reports. So I appreciate the honest and integrity related questions. So I hope everybody got something out of it. And like we mentioned, feel free to hit us up in Discord, and we're happy to keep the conversation going as we can.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks so much for coming out.
See you, everybody. Yeah, we'll be doing more of these in the future. Take care.